me just mute this, and then I'll join the space. And now everyone who's on live stream, you're gonna hear it in a second. So is that not crazy? And that's a project from YouTube, guys. YouTube. And you should hear audio now. Who's ever in stream. Hopefully it works. If not, tell me. But basically, you can create full-scale applications. That's what I'm trying to show you. So we took this idea, we saw it, and we were like, this is going to be great. And we added it. And the teachers and the students loved it. And without open source, without Code with Antonio, without Vercel, without all these things, this would actually not be possible because I have no idea how to rebuild Character AI. That's like $1 billion company. I'm so glad Code with Antonio made an 18-hour course showing how to do it in Next.js, which is amazing. Like, we need more of that in the world. By the way, not a shill, but we always use Code with Antonio, and if you guys watch the conference, his face is right on the big screen. So that's huge. So Next.js knows who Code with Antonio is, and so does Vercel, which is awesome. And I hope that they support what he's doing, because what he's doing, it's like insane. Like, if I had the time, I would do that. I don't. I have production applications running and things break 24/7. But if I had the time and I was going to be like a YouTuber, I would totally do that. You know how much value people get? It's crazy. Like, you think you're getting good value here, which you are because it's live, right? It's not like YouTube where you gotta leave a comment. Combine this, AI, and Code with Antonio YouTube channel, it's over. You could do anything. And that's what I hope you take from this idea to impact. Because we're always gonna be doing these kind of things in Idea to Impact. So I'm gonna talk briefly about what's gonna happen next season. And why it's important. And the reason I'm not having a break is because I most likely would have to cut it a week short because I have something going on in that last week. So instead of that, we can have our little intro and then go from there and then get like an extra week because that that last week I'm gonna probably have Nick or Alisher help out because I might have to go to a doctor's appointment because I'm a person and human. So if you think I'm a bot, you're wrong. I'm not. I'm real with real problems. And by the way, as crazy as it sounds, people ask me if this account's run by an AI. I'm like, how? How? Do you see my mistakes in spelling on my tweets?
The struggle is real, Ross. I have to say at least once a week, no, I'm not AI. Give me a Turing test. I'll still fail it every time.
But it's really important if you guys are building software that you build it properly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And there's a few things you need to know. One, Vercel is free and you can remain on free tier. But if you're going to start charging people, I would not do free tier because you don't get support. Support's more valuable than the product, I think. So their $20 is wildly worth it. But if you're not using Vercel, then don't pay them. Pay Railway. Railway is $5 a month. Cheaper, you get support. And it can get expensive if you run 100 websites. But for one website, Railway is great. Both of them are going to offer you protection, which is really important. So about Railway, upgrading to not free tier gives your app more bandwidth. So it can run faster, it has more RAM. On Vercel, upgrading, it doesn't just give you support. It actually gives you more function time. So Vercel charges per second on function calling. So if you're able to stay under their 30 seconds, you're good. So when you join or 60 seconds. But when you start building, you're going to have function timeout calling. And so you can write code that turns 15 seconds to 60 seconds and you won't get charged extra. 61 seconds you will. That's on the the upgrade. So from free to like Teams. Both are very worth it if you're running infrastructure. If you're just playing games and learning, don't bother. But if humans are going to be on your apps, pick one of them and pay them. It's not expensive, but it's important that all your data is secure and everything is good. This particular project runs on both, right? Now, y'all have been blessed by Neon. So the Neon gods just bless you guys. I don't know the number right now. Oh, it's 10. Yes, you went from 1 to 10 free databases, and those don't have to be upgraded, actually. So believe it or not, you do not have to upgrade Neon unless you need 11 projects. So the paid tier and free tier, identical. It's just more databases. And then the other thing, Stripe. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you guys some recommendations, the do's and the don'ts. So the big don't, right, is don't be like, I just launched my app. Let me go pay for it and test it out. That's illegal. That in the United States of America is called money laundering. Doesn't sound like it, but that's how Stripe sees it. So it's an insta ban. It's like one of those you get banned immediately situations. Now, I've been working with Stripe for, oh my God, like 15 years, right? So for me, if I did that, it probably would be fine, right? Because I'm on the old account style. The new account styles, you can't do that. It explicitly says it in their terms of use now. And I don't do it. I'm just saying like we have different accounts. So sometimes when people log in, like when Hallie logs in, it's the most confusing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. It's totally different, her Stripe, than mine. So really importantly, you activate payments on Stripe. You give them your bank info. And there's no one bank that will not work with Stripe. That's not real. You just need a routing number. It could take a few days. And Starboss, you did a thumbs down. I don't think you can't add your thing in Stripe. I think you can. So maybe we just have to have a conversation, and I have to show you because I think you can. But when it comes to actually activating, you got to get in the turn green. So you got to fill out all the info. Once it's ready, normally it happens instantly. I know Sharon was instant. Sharon, were you not instant?
Instant what?
You filled it out, you got activated with the green ready to take money. Remember?
Yeah, that was instant.
It was instant. So it shouldn't you shouldn't have a problem, right? Fun fact about Stripe, a bunch of years ago, they did not have phone support. Who in this room knows that you can call Stripe? Anybody?
It's only because you told me. I'm cheating.
I know,
but I
it's
know
like
that.
kind of weird, and a lot of people don't think you can. But I've had the unique opportunity of reporting a issue in Stripe, which when I did that, I had to go through their upper management, and I never knew that they actually had an ability to chat with them, let alone call them. So I tried it, and I'm going to show you. I just got to switch Stripes, so it doesn't show my real keys and stuff on the dashboard. Hold on. And they are so nice, by the way. Y'all, they're really nice. Okay, hold on.
And you just said y'all.
I did. It happens. Okay. So, you see my screen, guys? Look at the bottom right. Look at this. So if you go to support.stripe.com /, contact equals true, you get this cool little thing. And I'm not going to put them on blast and start a conversation because that's just mean. That's taking up someone's time that, it's not real. But if you hit one of these things, it'll say, did this solve your issue? Right? And you could be like, no. And then it says, let's change that. Do you want a phone call? And then you're like, well, no, it says contact agent. So I'm going to do that. And then it says, select an account. You would select your account. I'm not going to do it, obviously. But you can select your account and you can get an actual human being on the phone with you from Stripe. Insane that you could do this. And I did not know you could do this. But you can. Which means, like, Starboss in reality, like, for real, you can literally just go there and have them call you. And they can literally set everything up for you. And that's free. This is new. Stripe never did this before. But they just suddenly became one of the most important companies on the planet. Because they run so much e-commerce. It's unbelievable.
And they just made a serious investment in crypto, pirate money. So just so you know, the biggest crypto money deal that has been seen ever was by Stripe. So that blockchain technology is all coming to fruition, folks. So pay attention, pay attention.
So it's true. And Stripe, if you need their help, they'll definitely be there to help you. And when you're using Stripe, there's a few things you have to worry about. So the world is not, capital N, not full of sunshine and rainbows, unfortunately. So there are people who you will encounter, customers, who could be like, I got your service and I'm just going to tell the bank that I don't want it or I didn't do it, even though I did. And then the bank's going to be like, well, we're going to take money from the startup and give you the money back. Then two things could happen. One, you don't have this set up, right? And if that happens, and I'll explain what this is in a minute, then you're giving the money back, that's for sure. But you're also giving 20% more to Stripe. And then you're going to get on what's known as I forget the name of the list. It's the Visa, MasterCard, fulfillment, not scam, but it's like fulfillment list, which has a percent, and it's like a scam percent. And if your scam percent hits this is nuts. If your scam rate percent hits 0.7, it's over. Stripe shuts down. So your whole app stops working. And that means people do a chargeback with their bank, and then you give the money back, and that happens, but you still get penalized by Visa, MasterCard as a potential scammer. Now, I did not know this, but I learned this, and it was not the fun way. But I will tell you, coming out the other end, I know how to prevent it. And the whole idea is to make it not happen. And so we're going to talk about that for 2 minutes. So everyone got a pen and paper? You're going to need that. So I want you guys to go to this website. I'm going to go there myself so you guys can see. This is definitely a shill, but I don't care. This is literally the most chilly I can get. I'm literally going to go to the website. So you can see, can anyone tell me what you think this does? Any takers?
Does it take it out of the code so it's a function that it can't be successfully executed?
That's really close, actually. You definitely get Ross points. That's like really close.
She also gets Ross cookies, just so you know.
That's good.
Go Starbucks. Go Starbucks.
So it doesn't. So close. Any other takers before I give you the answer? You guys want to use your brain. You want to understand this stuff. And plus, I'm going to give you the answer anyways. Go there. Take a minute. Go to the website and tell me what it does. Take 1 second. I'm going to get a drink, so you have 1 minute. come up with what you think it is. It's really important, guys. Sharon, you need to know this.
Hello, hello. What do I need to know? What this is? Well, yeah, I signed up.
He's
for-
giving you an impromptu test.
Yeah,
So
right.
fire up the My AI tutor. We got a couple minutes. I see that Alisher is a speaker. We could bribe him to help us. I think the collective here, we can come up with an answer.
Well, I mean, it says it there. It reduced chargeback rates by up to 99%.
And this is actually really important. Chargebacks will frack up your accounting, hands down. And they are a huge vector for scams, just in general. The chargeback feature for a lot of small businesses, it can wreck you, and that is something that is really important to pay attention to. If you've ever had, a store like Etsy or something of the sort, a chargeback, it's there's no bueno. I'll just say it that way. Go ahead, Hallie.
I was just gonna say, so they're almost like a broker or like just the middleman, basically.
It adds an insulator to you. I mean, when you think about just in general, let's use PayPal for an example. Back in the day, when you were buying stuff on eBay and it was the Wild West, it was always a layer of protection with PayPal because now you have an accessory, right? You don't have to reveal all of your numbers. You don't even have to reveal, you know, um, your credit cards or anything else. It's kind of they assume and help you with some of the risk. So if let's say a buyer fracks up and you have an extra layer of protection because even though you're a seller and you're using Stripe, what's really fascinating about Stripe in general is that it protects both sides. So there's an arbitrator, in between. Now, is it always work? No, not necessarily. But if you're a paying customer, right, and you know it is to their advantage to make sure that they keep your accounts safe. And even now, with AI being embedded in their systems, they can detect fraud really, really quickly. And so, and interestingly enough, your bank does not play nicely all the time with Stripe. It's a forced fun activity, and so they can be kind of um, not so nice in the sandbox with one another. But you do want to have, as a business owner, many vectors, many different ways for people to pay you. Those parallel economies are really important because if you get deplatformed, if you get a red card, right, you have to be able to have many different ways to receive the money for the products and goods that you are offering. Go ahead, Star Boss.
I was just thinking, does it do like a pre-authorization, like a pre-verification layer, or like, does it kind of give it an if then
Cool.
so
Here
it
it goes.
can't,
So I'm
it
back.
can't be
I'll
successful?
explain what it does. So what it does is someone buys your app. Then they wait. Let's say they buy Sharon's app and she gives them 5,000 credits and they go crazy that night. They spend all 5,000. Then they call their bank and 2 days later they request a chargeback from Sharon because her service doesn't work as advertised, or they never signed up to begin with and someone stole their credit card. Both fake stories. Then the bank tells Stripe, "Hey, this lady Sharon got money and we need to take it from her because the customer said it was like fake and it's a scam," right? This company jumps in and says no. They connect directly to Stripe and they say no, there will be no chargebacks today. And then it will cancel their account. And if they signed up, like, and they used credits, it will only refund them half with no fee. So one is full with 25% fee, and you get a notch and a percent and a red card. 0.7 is 9 red cards. 9 chargebacks, and you are now in a situation. And you don't just get banned right away. After 9, they start charging you more. So when you do get paid, you have now a tax on you. And it starts at 1%. it goes up to 10%, which is 20 red cards, and then your account gets shut down forever. Not only that, your social is also banned, and so are your bank accounts. So Charge Blast, you can just sleep at night and just not care about the haters at all. And they will take care of everything. And the best part is, they take only a very tiny amount, like $10, to prevent this, and there's no monthly cost. So you can join, and you only pay them if they help you. So they charge like $9 if they help you. One of the most insane startups I've ever interacted with as someone who has a startup. Because I hold my customer support pretty high. And so that's my expectation with everything that I use. So if I go to a website and I can't get a person, you've just lost my business, my friend. And with this guy, I hit the live chat and he was the co-founder. And he answered all my questions and set me up. And I stopped getting chargebacks from that second. Because all my chargebacks were just fake. People were like, oh, I didn't pay for that. I have no idea what that is. What do you mean? You use the promo code. Come on, bro. How do you use a promo code and not know what it is? That's crazy.
And other
Now they can hear you.
other services out there that people use, they don't always have a chargeback feature. So you'll have to dispute it. And whether you'll win or lose, it's
You still
time
get
out of
penalized.
your hands. You still get
Wait,
penalized.
tell them what happens even if you win. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, even if you win, you still get penalized for it, and your
Even if you win.
percentage goes up, whether it's slightly or just a little bit. It's not fun to deal with. And when you're trying to run a business in large scale, you will have all sorts of issues and customers having all sorts of different problems. So to eliminate that, having something like this is super useful.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, you just gotta win. No. We won the first one. It was totally fake. So we won. Stripe said you win the chargeback. But you also lose 1%.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of chatter about people creating, they threw out a new app out there and then people were just signing up with fake emails or temporary emails. I think you had somewhat that you were looking at it as well. How do you prevent that, I guess?
Wait, are you talking about me? That happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're talking about my downfall here.
Well, no, not yours, but it was sort of tied up in the same thing, right? I think we sort of
No,
got
it
the
was
same email.
definitely me. Like, I literally had that problem and I freaked out. I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. Like 100 people signed up in 5 minutes. Do you remember, Nick?
Yeah, so it's like an
I
email
got you.
that is pretty much the same as the other email. So imagine 100 emails all coming from this one person trying to sign up and trying to access your tools. It's pretty unbelievable, but it's real. It happens. And some places like, for example, Etsy, they don't have these protocols. You have to dispute it and have to spend a whole process to try to give this person a refund back, and it has to be mediated with the third party. So it's pretty annoying to deal with.
No, wait. It's even worse. So Nick is almost right, like 99%. So in my case, all the charges were real, the first 10. Then I saw 10 pop in 2 minutes, and I was like, okay, this is weird. I wasn't even in a space, but whatever. And then 30 more. 30 more in 10 minutes. And then I started, and this is where you have to be like inspector. I started looking at everything. I started looking at who is buying, who are they, what's their emails, and do anything have anything in common? Did someone be crazy and just purchase it 12 times and have a glitch? Do you know what I mean? It happens. And so I logged into Stripe, And I just saw this, started reading that. Then I tell Nick, I'm like, Nick, these emails look very similar, like eerily similar. But then the charges started not going through. So then it was like 10 go through, 12 don't, 20 go through, then 15 don't. And I'm like, what is going on? So then I'm like a good citizen. So naturally, the only thing I do is I go to that help and I'm like, Stripe, talk to me. Let's go. And I was like, we're not chatting today. Call me. And so they called me and I get on the phone. And I'm like, okay, here's the situation. I'm like, I have a service, answered her Pixio, and all of a sudden I'm getting these charges. Look at, and I give them the IDs, right? And they're like, okay, so first go in your account and check if Radar is on. So I go in my account, Radar is on. So Radar is something that comes for free in Stripe. What it will do is look at transactions and decide if they are potentially high risk and or malicious. And so here's the thing, guys. 5 transactions slipped past Radar and were real transactions and were used and money was taken. So out of 30 that were pending, 5 went through, right? So then another 2 went through. And then, and this is really important, guys, because if this happens to you, you have to act fast. I tell Stripe, I'm like, another one came through and it's valid. So then he looks into it and he goes, may I have your first and last name? And I'm like, it's kind of weird. You should already know, but yeah, I give my first and last name. And he's like, so on all these transactions, there's the 2% Stripe fee that you're getting charged even if they fail. And I'm like, well, that sucks because there's like 50 of them. That's like $40 or something like that. It's like 50 or 60 failed charges. And then like another 30 came through while I was on the phone. And then he goes, here's what I'm going to do. He goes, this attack is something we've seen before. And I'm like, what is it? He goes, this is called a stolen credit card test attack. And I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, it means someone has like a bunch of credit cards. They find a service that they can quickly test if it works or not. Once the credit card works, they charge more. He's like, notice every transaction has a different Amex. Same name, different Amex. He goes, how many people have 40 credit cards? And I'm like, okay. What do I do? Like, what?
Breathe. 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 Mute your mic.
Too much
joking.
talking.
Yeah, it's too much talking. You gotta stop for a second and breathe.
And drink
What does
and
this
breathe.
mean?
Okay, so
The average person does not have 40
yeah,
credit
and then
cards.
he's like,
Yes.
okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna halt all the transactions. He's like, because your risk factor just went up like to 0.10, which is 1, which is being disabled, potentially. So I'm like, what's gonna happen now? He's like, no, you're good. He's like, stay on the phone with me. He tells me to go to the last valid transaction, which I did. And I put a block on that entire IP address from the Stripe dashboard. Ultra cool. Not know you could do this. I did it. I refunded the 5 things. He said, because I'm a good Samaritan and he thinks I'm a good person, he's going to refund all the Stripe fees, even though he doesn't have to. Like, I'm liable for them. But he refunded everything. And the account's today in good standing and no issues since his interaction. This is because of support, guys. They solved it. So you asked how to avoid it? Guess what? I have the worst answer ever. You're not. Not today, not tomorrow, and not next week. But when you have the problem, you have a place to get it solved. They have that now. That's new.
See, and this is the reason why. I mean, when you think about payment in general, that kind of peer-to-peer type thing, when you have these vectors that can be so quickly exploited, having a person on speed dial is so important. It really is, because the average small business owner, man, they get dinged for everything. And when you think about, you know, obviously stolen credit cards are one thing. I know that, your bank or whatever will give you a heads up. It's only quicker now with
you're
AI.
liable. Like
Yeah, you're liable.
like
That's right.
not he didn't say this, but it's like you're an accomplice. Like he said,
You're on the,
Because
yep,
your
you're on the
account
hook.
would be liable. So like some old lady in like Arkansas is going to be like, what's this hundreds of dollars from AI Tutor? Like, who is that? And if that happens, then it becomes like a weird chargebacky situation because like we don't even know each other. But
Well,
like
it's even
I'm
more
not a
than that.
scam and neither is she. So
It can be considered a scanning error. So, like here in Michigan, if you go to, let's say, a store and you ring up a candle and the candle is not the same price, then you owe that person 10 times the difference up to a certain dollar amount. It's the same thing that can happen online, is that because you are now in a global economy, you have to abide by different rules and you are on the hook. That's why this season is so important. We're no longer in, the TSI playpen. What happens in the real world is happening in the real world. So, you want to make sure that you understand exactly the tools that you're playing with,
yeah, and the cool thing is that this service, chargeblast.io, works for like any payment. So anything like WordPress, anything using Stripe. If they try anything, it has to go through ChargeBlast first.
For the equivalent would be for those of you that dabble in the dark arts of crypto, right, or pirate money, this would be having Wallet Guard. That would be the equivalent, or Harpio, where you would have Wallet Guard on your computer, and if some malicious something is trying to access your wallet, it would give you a heads up. In a lot of ways, you're paying for peace of mind, for lack of a better term. Sharon, your hand's up. I hope that's a real hand. I apologize for missing you.
Don't worry.
Go ahead.
Well, how should I say this now? I don't want to sound like, Sarah, you'll understand what I'm about to say. This is
Say
all
it.
good.
Do
This
it.
is
Do
all,
it.
yeah, this is all good. And I love chargeback. This is super cool. And a lot of people don't know. So I'm so thankful for Ross informing us on that. I already signed up with Charge Blast. It's really amazing. But this is why I'm going to say it now. This is why I love crypto. They're
No,
all
you're actually right. It's not bad that you're saying that. You're right. And Stripe will work with crypto. But the
yeah, but
thing is,
but that's the thing. I don't want Stripe then at that moment. If you have your own gateway with a wallet and someone, of course, now this is funny because you could probably come up with a solution, build an app to make it easier for people, a processing place or something that just makes it easier for
yeah, but
people. I think
Sharon,
there
you
are
have to
many
think
ideas.
about it. You got to think about it from the other end too. So not just as you. Think about it as you who signs up with some other company. Something goes wrong. You want to be able to do a chargeback when it's real. You don't not want to be able to do that ever as a customer.
That is true. That's why I'm saying that's definitely true. But what I don't like, and I hear that from many, many creators out there, people on Etsy that make their own stuff and sell it, or other places, all of a sudden PayPal doesn't like what they do, Stripe doesn't like what they do, and then you're just blocked and you're an honest person. You know what I mean? You did not do anything wrong. They just don't like you. And then
No. So I will just straight up,
happens.
I will dispute that 100%. Like I haven't seen a person like sign up with Stripe aside from the horror stories, which I don't even believe. Because anytime you have a horror story and you say, like, what's your website? No answer. So like if Stripe shuts you down, there's like a really good reason why.
Okay, I haven't heard it from Stripe, but from PayPal, not from Stripe.
PayPal is not a processor. PayPal's a peer-to-peer payment gateway. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
So Stripe like runs billion-dollar businesses right now. They only deactivate you if you're doing something shady. That's for sure.
But what you just explained that you're still penalized even though you didn't really do anything
That's
wrong.
the US banking system. That's not Stripe.
Okay, well, that's
Big
why,
problem.
okay, well, that's cool. So then, okay, that makes sense now what you're saying. So Stripe crypto, that would be an alternative to get that darn banking
Right.
system out of
So
the
in
whole.
Stripe crypto,
Cool.
you can't do a
Okay.
chargeback using crypto in Stripe. Like they have a new partnership with crypto.
You know, I'm from my business. So I just want to talk about myself. I can't speak for everybody, but if I really mess up with somebody and I have a client that is just super pissed about me, I will refund. I will do it. That's just how I function. I can't speak for everybody. So people that sign up
Yeah,
to my
but see,
magazine,
that's like a very bad way of thinking, because at your magazine, yes, it's okay, you can do that. But like if you're charging, let's say for like a website, right? And someone
Mhm.
pays you like a down payment and you finish the entire job, and then they
But
pay
that's
you
not
again, and
enough.
then they do a chargeback. Like
That,
it's a huge problem.
of course,
You
I
would
wouldn't,
not
of
want
course,
to
if
give the
someone wants
money
to
back
try to,
anyways because
no.
time.
Of course not. If someone really just, just wants to be a butthead,
No, no,
I don't,
that's not just someone. That's
I'm not
very a
gonna,
lot of people.
I
Like I
know,
get
I'm not gonna allow that. I'm not gonna go broke just because people are trying to scam me. Of course not, you
what you
know?
do is have policies.
Well,
Like if you
Sharon,
purchase, here's what happens if you don't like it. You get a partial refund. Or if you do it within
Something like
24 hours,
that.
you get a full refund. You need to
Yeah.
set your own policies.
Mm,
well, let me just jump in real quick. One, there are blockchains that have a digital ID where your transaction is basically an escrow until both parties agree. So a lot of that interchange will happen on Stripe. So you will have a peer-to-peer without an accessory, right? So those folks that are bankless or choosing to be unbanked, you will have that ability. And having the transparency of a public ledger is, I think, what Sharon is talking about. But also, you know, on Ross's side of the equation, that radical transparent ledger system, it actually is adding a layer of protection for both the buyer and the seller. And ultimately, that's what you want. You want good fences. Good fences make good neighbors. And in this day and age, when you have tools that can move faster than all of us, right? Those arbitrage opportunities. When you have an AI system that can ding hundreds of transactions within seconds, right? To see if all of these cards, because it's on a reader, it's not a real person that's doing it. It's, all automated, it's rapid fire, and there's always a red team and a blue team, right? And, it's just the way it is. But um, in this discussion and having it on the recording, these are the conversations we have to have, because many people who have never run a business that's solely online, um, the idea of being paid and making sure that your customer is satisfied is always the
Yeah,
time
and
old
Sarah, I'll give you
challenge,
another
right?
example,
Go
and
ahead.
we'll give you a what would you do, blue hair lady. So
Okay,
somebody
go ahead.
buys your service, and your service leases GPUs. So in order for you to sell a year subscription, you have to also lease GPUs, which start the moment that person pays. Now, person buys your stuff, you lease GPUs, it's great, pays for a year. Now, 4 months later, he's like, I want a refund because I'm not going to use it anymore. What do you do?
Well, it depends. I would have a smart contract anyway,
No,
right?
no, no, no,
So,
no, no, no. You can't crypto. What would you do in real life? Now, no
well,
crypto.
in real life,
What
you
would
know,
you do? You
I
lease
know
the
that they want
GPU,
an
so
aggregate.
they paid you $800, right? You paid $400 to lease GPUs for a year, and they used it, and then 4 months later they want a refund.
Well, two things. One, I would have had Alex Damsker really go over the terms of service in terms
Too
of,
bad terms of
if
service
you,
don't matter. But
well,
continue.
they don't. But the other thing too
As
is
a
that I think
customer,
social
remember.
reputation it matters, right? Because you can't afford to have.
Yeah, but you got
Here's
to
the
cut
the
losses.
hardest part.
So you have to think
You're
like, do
gonna
you
have to cut
refund this
losses.
person, right? Even what your policy says, no refunds on a year. Do you refund this person?
Well,
And if
me
so,
personally, I would,
how
and the
much?
reason why,
Would you refund the whole
well,
amount?
no, I wouldn't.
What
It
would
would
you
be an
do?
aggregate. It would be an aggregate, and I do think in that respect, because of the energy costs, etc. But, you also can take advantage of that radical transparency. You cannot, the customer is not always right, believe it or not. And I know that's
Make
a
a good
hard thing
decision
for
if you're
people to
thinking
know.
that
Go
that
ahead.
that's the same decision I would make.
Well, it's very easy to aggregate, and I do think too
You pay
that
for the
in the
time
public
used,
square,
basically.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
public
yeah.
square, no one's going to disagree with you. And I think too, that is one of the things that we all have to train
And
ourselves
just
to
to
do
like
better.
put into Sharon's example, like if someone buys a subscription for like a year, that's income that you're getting as a business. Someone shouldn't be able to cancel that unless you cancel it.
Well, that's a misnomer because they're paying up front
Yeah,
for a year, but also the costs of those GPUs are variable. So they could be locking in at a price that's far less
but so can
costly. For
Sharon with
instance,
shipping. Like she could
sure,
make deals
true.
with shippers and FedEx, and she could have certain
Yeah,
amount of
but in the
volume she
same
has to
breath,
hit to get that price.
right now she's printing a physical copy, and the guarantee that the ink itself, which is a petroleum-based product, is
A-
variable. So those costs are going to kind
And
of
I'm
trickle
not
down.
trying to
You have
like
lots of,
divulge the conversation.
yeah,
I'm just trying to help people
no, but
understand
this is
how it
something that you
applies
have to talk about.
directly.
Did he just say blue-haired lady?
I am a blue-haired lady, but no, but I mean, this is the point, and this is why the conversation with Dave Muir last week was so important, also, right? Is because these kinds of conversations, you have to understand where every penny is going, and if you are not leaning heavily into your AI cohort to do that aggregating for you, you could bleed, literally. You could, you don't know where the money is leaving your system. And so when Ross tells me, okay, this is a hypothetical, of course it's a hypothetical, and it could be on a case by case basis. If you can, use your AI cohort, do a little sniffing and figure out, suss out this person, sometimes, like I said, the customer's not always right, right? And you may say, nope, you know what? I'm going to fish or cut bait. You're not going to get what you need to be back because I've seen that you've been doing this all over the place. Vicky and I have these conversations quite frequently. She has an ice cream shop and she will have someone leave her a 1-star review because the sprinkles were the wrong color, or someone parked in their parking space out in the front that had nothing to do with her business whatsoever. But she bears the brunt of that 1-star review, and she has to have that ding on her, public reputation. And so each one of us has to kind of think about that. When you have a good or services that is a digital product, right? You're not going to be seeing these people face to face. You're not going to have that kind of interaction. You may, because you're here online, or you're in social audio, you've had a relationship. There are certain things here. I will give a for instance. I know it's a recorded line. I have purchased products from people that I have infinite regret because instantly someone says, "Oh, Sarah bought this, so therefore that's a stamp of approval." Well, I might have bought something not really realizing how a product was going to evolve. And so you have that team sharing that happens, or, forced teaming, as they say, where you are associated with a bad business. That happens a lot in crypto and it will happen a lot more. And so when we're talking about these kinds of ecosystems, I would absolutely hands down outsource my part of that business to Stripe. And the reason why is because it gives me a layer of, plausible deniability, for lack of a better term. And a lot of times their tools are far more sophisticated than mine. I don't have that in my wheelhouse. I want to be able to free up my time so I can build the thing that I'm selling, right? As opposed to, really sitting there and worrying about
I
someone
will
who's,
interject one thing
go
for
ahead.
it. Like I know the stigma around like platform reliance, but like if you're gonna be reliant on anything, wouldn't Stripe be like the thing you would want to be on? And look, yes, you can do it without Stripe, but like I wouldn't have been able to stop that.
Well,
That's
you don't want to be on hard mode
no,
on
no, like
purpose.
no, like it's not necessarily hard mode, but like it's easy to do PayPal and things, but like I would not have been able to stop this any other way. This was crazy. Like I was freaking out, guys.
Well, I can tell you too, and this is a woulda, coulda, shoulda. I have friends that are fine artists, and they paint oil painting, and they paint the human figure that happens to be nude. Guess what? You can't have those in certain online forums, right? Um, they will get taken down from Facebook. They will not be allowed for PayPal. We have that happening a lot we had two artists from the Louvre itself, and they got, deplatformed because they were classical marbleists. They actually carved the human body, all the, bells and whistles with the human body, and got deplatformed. So, there's always a moving target. And if you are depending solely on one site, you have to marinate and think about your business model. Now, many of you are going to have interesting SaaSes, maybe interesting websites, maybe it's adult content, maybe it's something that's on the fringe, maybe you're like a comedian that has like a Ricky, what is it, Gervais, right? So you have a liability because of the art form that you have chosen, right? So in that perspective, you have to really look at whatever platforms that you're using. And you know what? It's perfectly cool for you to have an alias, right? If you have one business model that you don't really want associated with your family or or people that might receive shrapnel, right? You kind of think those through, but these are all questions we have to ask ourselves. And I will tell you, I have a Stripe account and I have PayPal, but I also have other ways for people to pay me. If they want to use, crypto or pirate money, they can, right? Each one of us has the onus to own our own business and have the parallel economies that we feel comfortable with. That being said, I have a sister that lives in Canada, and during COVID, her husband was a truck driver. And so, they had no income coming in for a good period of time. And the only way that they could have money coming in was through alternate means. Why? Because the banks shut them down. They weren't able to pay their mortgages or food on the table, right? If any situation has that kind of control, you have to marinate on that a little bit. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen to any of you. It probably won't. But you always want to think about it, because what would happen if your bank was seized? For instance, Ross had all of these dings instantly. What happens if everything shuts down while they decide to do an investigation? Some people here on Twitter have had their Twitter accounts shut down. You're not
So
having
I'll tell
any
you
ad
one thing with
revenue.
that. If that
That's
actually
go ahead.
occurred and I did not fix it and I just like slept on it and I didn't reach out to Stripe and like go ahead and proactively refund all valid charges that I don't recognize, because I'll figure they'll just re-sign up if they really want it. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like you really do have to not get banned, because if something were to happen, like not only would it not work like for people joining AI Tutor or purchasing, but like all of you guys come the end of the month that have AI Tutor no longer could use it. I mean,
No,
obviously
the cascade
you're not
effect.
paying
Mhm.
for it again. Like you're not going to get charged. So you'll be like, oh, I didn't get charged. But then also when you go there, it's like, oh, it also doesn't work. And you can't get
Exactly.
charged. So like
It goes two ways. Our businesses
I
are
would
also
even say,
affected.
guys, if you're just starting, this is not illegal, by the way. You can make a second Stripe account, activate it just in case. Because if you do get banned, you get banned per account, not globally, unless you do something really bad. Like if I was to attempt to keep those charges and be like, oh, they're real, so whatever, you know, that would be bad.
It's always important to have a backup account. Starboss had a prime example where, if her business account runs into trouble, how do you connect with your consumer base, right? And when you think about something like my AI tutor, each one of us is building a business on that business. So if it goes down, how are we able to um, give our good and service to our customers? Recently we had an update to Microsoft, I think it was, and Delta went down, right? All everything went down. It was just a push of a product of some sort, right? And you have an instant everything's out. If everything's out, how do you connect, right, with your end consumer? Because collaboration is our currency, right? Our collaboration with our client base is where our currency comes in. Our network is our net worth. We hear this over and over again. So, in this final session that we're talking about, we're tying everything up in a little bow, right? We're getting ready for the next session. But the point is that these are really hard questions that need to have a sticky note. They need to be in your journals. They need to be in your, Notion documents. These are the questions you have to ask yourself as a business owner. Should a channel break down? Should a conduit to my business or to my, customer break down? How am I going to mitigate that? Because it's not when, it's it, or not if, it's when for everybody. There's always going to be a snafu. Why? Just like there's a hidden space or a stupid capital letter that we can't see, technology does this. It's not a perfect system. And there's always constantly updates, right? So there's always a chance that that might happen. Now, the smart person thinks from the strategic high ground. They already know that it's going to happen. Now you have a flow plan of what happens. So when something goes wrong with Ross, instantly he has a series of checklists. Okay, something goes wrong with Vercel. Something goes wrong with, DigitalOcean. Something goes wrong with Stripe. He instantly has that flow chart that, problem, solution, cause, effect, flow chart. If this, then that. This goes down, then I go here, right? And by doing that and having that set up ahead of time, you alleviate a ton of stress. This is also goes for your passwords, right? If you know where your passwords are and you have all of these things written down and it's highly organized, when it comes to an emergency where time is of the essence and you need to shut things down right away before, the compounding factor of 1,000 credit cards running through your system, some being real and some being not, those are the things that you have to pay attention to. And the other thing too is that Nick, Alisher, and Ross, they understood immediately. You see a huge influx, you have all of the bells and whistles, the notifications on, that you understand something is happening. There is a surge in activity. Being able to recognize those surges right away is part of just having your finger on the pulse of your business. That's one of the things that you have to pay attention to. And many people don't, they'll find out too late. And that's not a good thing. Now, when things do happen, which they will, right? Let's say you have a very salty customer and they're spitting venom, and you have to look at yourself and say, look, you know, what is this going to cost me, right? Not just in monetary terms, but also in your energy, right? How long are you going to have to dink around with this one customer? There's a thing called the Pareto principle. So it's the 80-20. 20% of your business or 20% of your customers are going to give you 80% of your business, right? They're going to generate most of the income. But I guarantee you, you're going to have that one person who's going to take up 80% of your time. And it's going to ruin your day because they're not bringing in very much income. They are literally, it's a null game, but they are going to take up every square inch of your mind space. They're going to stress you out. At that point, you look at it and go, you know what? Have a wonderful day. I'm so sorry it didn't work out. And have that empathy, always leave the door open. But, if there's someone that is constantly bringing you grief and causing you to, have extra costs that you didn't necessarily plan on. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about just time and energy. You're stealing away from your other customers that are actually funding your business. So that's my own 2 cents. I don't know if it helped anybody. It definitely gave Ross an opportunity to get a drink of water. Starboss has her hand up. We'll go to her, and then I'm not sure if it's everybody's ready or not yet, Kev, but I will play it by ear.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead,
basically
Starboss.
after Starbucks,
Wait.
I'm just gonna
Yeah, go.
explain what's happening in the next season, why we're starting a little early, which I already did, but in case you missed it, what we're gonna do there, and I'm gonna do a poll with emojis. I'll tell you what emoji is what, and you're gonna do emojis. And one of these, on the screen on the stream, I'm gonna release to everyone publicly in Slack. So yeah, Starbucks, what's up?
So just listening to this whole data attack situation and how Stripe sort of insulates from that and creates a like a buffer with the other app there in conjunction, is it possible to make it so that you actually have like hours of operation where you're processing instead of just being available 24/7.
Oh
Because
yeah,
like
you could do
for
that.
me,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, I would want to have store hours because I would just be so worried that something would happen and it would be when I'm sleeping. You know what I mean?
Well, that's when this happened. I was like almost sleeping, and I just got notifications, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Let me just get up. But yeah, no, you can definitely do that for sure. It's a setting. There's a lot of really awesome settings in Stripe when you actually like get in there and start looking around. That's only one of the custom choices. There's hundreds of things you could do, which is really cool. You could set parameters. You could even set like that someone's payment doesn't actually work. Like it could be like, okay, you paid, great, good job, but now you gotta wait till Starbucks approves your payment. And then when Starbucks approves your payment as real and valid, you get access to services. That's another way. But I just think about like someone finding us at like 1 a.m. and being like, let me sign up to AI Tutor, and then being like mad after they pay. But if I had continuous issues, let me tell you, Starbucks, I would do that in like a heartbeat. I would not care at all. So that's a good idea, actually. That's another way you could technically prevent it. Kind of.
Or at
You're on
least
a roll
be on
today.
top of it. Yeah, I know. I'm like, dang, I'm I'm only supposed to just be listening.
You're like fully a participant now.
I've been
She
paying
got skin in
attention.
the game. Yes.
But yeah, you are right. And that is a really good idea. But I think that they have enough tools to literally prevent bad things. That's what radar is.
You know, that might be an awesome thing to have in the Mighty Networks is also a list of troubleshooting tools, just to have at your fingertips. Because, I know I write them all down, but I do think other people would also benefit from having, the troubleshooting kind of flow chart and things that we may be able to implement. That is one of the things that you're really good at, Ross, amongst other things, but definitely sussing out awesome tools. That is something that I think all of us need. Having a digital Sherpa. If you've ever watched Shawshank Redemption, Ross is kind of like Red. He knows how to get things and he knows where they are. And having those folks in your quiver are awesome. So, Ross, did you want to go over a little bit about what next session's going to look like? And then maybe give folks first, before you say what it's going to look like, how to close this season. Nice little chapter at the end, little bow, and then kind of give kind of a precursor of what's going to happen next Wednesday, and also instead of homework, just telling us what we need to make sure. Just like last semester or we had to have our Mighty Networks in place, and we had to have all this and this. What do we need to have all
So
in a row
I'm gonna
to close it out?
I'm gonna put out like a little tutorial so people understand what's expected. And Dave should totally be asleep right now. Good God, Dave.
He's not. He's getting ready for our session in another 12
I know
hours.
if you're up, Dave, I'm gonna call you. If you go to sleep, I'll call you tomorrow. But I
This
have
is
I
so
have a
funny. What
proposition
is he
for you.
doing here?
I don't know, but I was talking about him today, and I gotta tell him about it. It's so funny, and we have a funny idea. But me and Nick, not yet Dave. Dave will be part of it though. Wait till he hears it. But
Like, what I know too. Oh my gosh.
oh yeah, you definitely would know for sure. But the thing is, guys, here's what's gonna happen. So we're not skipping a week. We're hitting it again next Wednesday. We're gonna start, and then we're gonna have an extra week. I may or may not be present that extra week, but that's okay because the guys got it. But basically, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, not do Next.js, and I know that might disrupt your flow, but that's your flow and not my problem. You can continue learning Next.js, like no one's stopping you, like no one's holding a knife to your throat and being like, if you learn one more thing, like no one's doing that. So you could totally do it. But We're going to focus on using cPanel, using PHP, and building out a PHP-based AI SaaS application. And then you'll be able to modify it, and it'll be a little less complicated than Next.js. I would say a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. You guys will get a refresh on what PHP is, what's important, how to use it, what it could do well, what it can't do well. And
PHP is not personal health program. Sorry, guys.
Uh,
It's totally a different thing.
nope. But it is a language that we'll use. And it is a language that is built on WordPress, which means technically you could weave in WordPress into what you're building. So if you have a WordPress, you can build a thing and then like integrate it into WordPress. Super easy. It's all PHP. And so
You've summoned Dave, by the way.
and so you don't need anything, but you will
Only
need
because I got insulted.
Hi, Dave. It is
Da
your bedtime
Vinci
now.
painted at 2 a.m. in the morning, okay? If it's good enough for geniuses like that, it's good enough for me.
And Dave knows PHP very well. He can tell you it's like a pretty powerful language if you like fully understand what it could do. And that's what we're going to focus on, building something cool in PHP, not in WordPress, but they are working together and could work together. So we're going to build out probably 2 things that I have in mind, totally possible. And they're open source from us to you. So they're not open, so you can't put it on GitHub. There'll be no GitHubs. You'll be putting it on your server, which we will give you if you don't have one. And if you do have one, it'll be persistent and last even after the season's over. And after the season's over, you will lose access to your cPanel, but you can always get it back. Like we have a whole route in Mighty Networks where you can get free unlimited hosting at, like, not free, but like it's unlimited files, unlimited websites. There is a small fee, but we're literally giving you a DigitalOcean droplet, and you're getting a lot more than just. But whatever, you don't need it. You're gonna get it for free anyways to play. And if you have it, you don't need a new one. You'll get to build on your server, which is super cool. If you have a domain, you can just use your domain, and everything will be on your domain. So if we're building something and it's called Experiment One, it'll be like experiment1.myllm.news. It won't even say TSI. So that's what we're going to focus on. And then in the next season after that, we might jump around to Python and totally just put your world upside down and learn Streamlit and Gradio. So yeah, it's going to be fun. But
This is awesome. Oh my gosh, I am so happy. You may turn my world upside down anytime. I want to learn all of that stuff.
And even for Dave, I know he's building like an image generation thing. Dave, what's cool is you can do really cool stuff with Hugging Face and Gradio, and then hit Gradio via API in whatever app you're building. Like, it's the craziest thing. You can literally have an A100 running for total free using Zero, and it will be limited, but it will be free for you to test, which is crazy. And then you could upgrade and you can introduce nighttime mode, which I did. So when you don't make a call, it goes to sleep and you don't get charged. It's amazing. So you only pay like 3 cents or something. Yeah, I could. We're gonna go through all of this. Like, the next
Hugging
season
Face.
Oh, yeah.
is gonna
With
be
Hugging
wild.
Face.
We're gonna learn about inference, like direct real-time WebSocket inference to Gradio, where you can hit that in Next.js and PHP.
With Hugging
You're speaking my language. That's what I want to do. I want the PHP plugin in WordPress to hit
Hugging
my
Face,
image API
but
as
you
well.
could put it on Hugging Face too, which negates all costs until you go really heavy, and then it's like, then you're better off getting Pixio API because then your cost will hit over 100.
This is perfect. That's what I want. It's once the customer base justifies the need to
Yeah,
upgrade
but
to
you
a
can like
higher
chill on
tier.
Hugging Face on Zero.
But that makes sense that you're building your own audience and customer base that when they're ready, it actually paid for itself instead of going to you, paying lots of money, getting no customers, and being broke. It's like, I love this, Ross.
So like when you use, I learned that if you use Hugging Face, you can hit it on Zero, and it'll just be only hittable for 30 people, like in concurrently, and then it'll crash because it's Zero. But you can upgrade to like A10 and then put sleep time in there, which is like something I figured out in Python with AI Tutor, and it just like puts it to sleep after, and you don't get charged. But the website still stays up, so the API endpoint's up. And then in your code, you just create like a second backup call. So the first one's gonna wake it up, like poke, wake up. The second one will work. It's crazy.
I like this a lot. People really need to
I
learn this
know.
stuff. I'm not joking. I had a call today for ridiculous amount of money to build a website. That is a fairly basic website. And now add on all of the like free stuff that's available. Add on the AI. The AI, like my brain is in overload with the amount of stuff that I'm gonna sell next year to people, the amount of opportunities. And I think people need to like once you learn the skill, it's not about the effort anymore. It's really just about the value, the perceived value to somebody else. That's all. And not everybody's got to learn this shit. Like everybody probably drops off on this last class or the previous class, but that's the reason you're going to make so much money out of this.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And what's crazy is I was even testing this today, and I downloaded the new model on Hugging Face. Not downloaded, but I duplicated the space, and I was able to hit the brand new secret model, the red panda thing, just like free on zero. Just free.
Okay, you make the PHP part happen. I'll make the WordPress plugin happen, and I'll give anybody the WordPress plugin.
Well,
that
you know
wants
what's even better than that, Dave? You know what we're gonna do? Actually, we're gonna build a Python fast API route to deal with everything. So then you have something like Swagger to hit. It's
Yes, so I'm assuming then you're nearly at a point of being kind of language or
Yep.
app
So it's an
agnostic.
API call directly
Yeah.
to an API running on Railway in Python Docker. So cool. This is how Pixio runs, believe it or not. We're hitting a lot of individual endpoints that we create.
This is needed as well. You need that top level control so it doesn't go like bananas on you and cost you a lot of money. It's like you have a central hub and then build as many apps and websites in different ways and just
Yeah,
feed
like
them
I
all into
literally on
work.
Railway have a thing called API endpoints, and they're all Pixio API endpoints that we put up. So like if something goes wrong, we go directly to that one endpoint and see what the issue is. And it's Python.
My brain is overloaded. I'm like a client wants a custom one. I build a custom piece, but I still just pipe it through one API.
Right, and then you could do like / Dave's Cool Website.com / that person's name would be their API routes with their custom LoRa's or whatever versus the standard one. Like you're building it, and then we could even use like so.
I'm literally marketing it right now. Custom LoRa's is going to be so profitable next year for me. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I tell people now start making LoRa's and putting them like on a website and start advertising like to use your LoRa, and you could pay to get the LoRa.
I had a client yesterday who paid $26 for a stock photograph.
Dude, I know someone who messaged me.
Like when I say to that client, you can
Oh
just
my
have the
God.
subscription
I'll never forget.
for like $50 a month. You can have, 100 images.
So like when we launched AI Tutor, like I'll never forget this. Some customer or Pixio, when we launched Pixio, a customer subscribed for the maximum plan, which at that point was like I think it's $20 without a discount. Now it's like 60. But they subscribed to that and then they messaged me immediately after and they were like, I just did the math. 12 times 20 is is less than I'm paying. And I'm like, what are you paying? She's like around 5K a month. A year, five to 10K a year on stock photos.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, easily.
what?
But this is the part that people are missing. Next year, like everyone's still going to be talking about AI. I'm not selling AI to people. I'm not going to be selling prompts to people. I'm selling easier convenience. It's like like most normal average Joes do not want to learn how to be an expert prompt engineer. That's for us to sell them to save all of the effort. Like my clients are going to have pre-built LoRa's and they're just going to click generate image. They're not going to start typing stuff in and placing stuff. It's just generate image. Here's 20 images. They don't have to think about it. That's even easier than like at most they'll look at it like searching a stock photography website, even though it will be
I
generating
know,
unique
it's
images.
crazy.
It will be the same
Dave,
mindset.
like people on this platform on X, they think like that X is like the end all be all. I'm like, you know how many people are outside of X trying to use AI and spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a month that would literally do anything for a solution? Anything.
You know what the use cases as well. I've a client, and they are in medical research, and medical research is really really specific with rules. Like you can show a doctor, but you can't show the doctor sitting on a patient's bed. The doctor cannot have a stethoscope. That's a Laura for me. Like that's prompts for me that they don't need to think about all of those nuances inside it, but that's really really tailored to them and worth more money to them, even though it's a small bit of effort to me. Like the outcome of what they get, so easy.
Yeah, I mean, the tools are going to get so crazy that you're going to have so much things that you could do. Like these tools are rapidly changing, and the best thing you could do, like that you, Dave, me, Sharon, anyone could do is like learn how to use these tools, but like not not just like going to use them, but like putting them in your web, like learn the integration, learn how the models work, know what weights are, like know what like start that learning process because it's going to get to a
Yeah,
point
yeah. Learn the
where
defaults so people don't need to like make
yeah.
your own defaults so people don't need to jump through as many hoops. I know what amount of inference steps is suitable for that model. My client does not even need to know what inference steps are.
Yeah, that's so true, Dave, making it simple for people. Also, in general, you can do actually anything if it's making the life of people easier, because that's their hopes with AI, right? So everything that will accelerate them or just make it easier for them is going to be a very valuable product for people. People are going to go crazy on it. They want a comfortable life, and they want it even more comfortable with AI.
No, I'm so excited that no longer will I give a client a website and in 6 months' time it will have terrible images and terrible content. It will now have good images and good content because I've built the AI to make it easy for them.
Yeah, and soon we'll be able to have AI like understand color theory, and it's going to change so much. Everything's going to change. But
We built a prompt for color theory for creating brands and effective colors. We
you
already
know
have
what
it.
I did? I made the model understand the colors. That's what I'm working on, and it will have hex, Dave.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, we have hex in the prompt, but it's like a prompt. But I like the idea of the model being your color brand
Yeah,
guardian.
so the model actually fully dictates. There's no prompt involved in this one. It's actually diffusing the color. It's creating a color palette, diffusing the color palette plus your prompt and image, and then mixing them. So like I think the future, guys, is not like AI and like things you can build, like build chat interfaces. The future is like using AI as part of an existing infrastructure that people already know and love. So that means like a WordPress website or like a store or like an app or even like a magazine. Like how cool to have like
Yeah,
the
it's the
LLM
convenience of
magazine vibe.
Canva. You see what Canva does? Like put in your brand colors, lock them in, nobody can edit, and then the marketing person comes in and creates graphics, but they create graphics within the guidelines of what you've set up. That for me is so
Yeah,
convenient.
see, I'm glad you
Like
mentioned that. So that's like where I have Canva. I've used that feature. So like I was going for that with this model, Creative One, to be able to do that for the first time because I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That's exactly why we built alter egos and stuff like that as well. And again, I see this happening. Like I'm going to build alter egos for clients to say, here's how to speak with your style. I literally spent last week, I spent 3 hours in a workshop understanding the client and their audience. And normally you create a document that gets forgotten about. And now I'm creating an AI that will produce copy and content and guidance and feedback. Even if an intern comes in tomorrow, it will still resonate with the company's voice and personality.
Yeah, and I think people right now have a really unique opportunity. It's like imagine, Dave, if like you and me were like right there when like web happened for the first time and you made like the first websites, you'd be like a whole different situation now. That first .com boom was nuts. We're right now
Yes.
in like
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
yeah,
I agree.
and
I
right now
agree.
we're in a weird spot, right? So it's not a boom because people don't know it yet. But let me tell you, they will over the next 1 to 3 years. It's going to become such a huge thing Like people will not even know what hit them. And by that, I don't mean they're going to be like knocked down. It's going to be like hitting you like a freight train invisibly. So it'll just get woven into like your banking apps and every app you use and every service you use. And next thing you know, AI is a part of everything. And then you're like, why didn't I get in on that? I missed out on that opportunity. Like imagine being on Vine and transitioning to like the first like shorts. You'd be a millionaire. So like what do you lose spending 1 to 2 hours a day? Like you can binge Netflix 2 hours a day, or you can learn this and craft something that's ready for when the boom happens. Because let me tell you, it's happening for sure, for sure. Like this, for sure. I would bet any amount of money, my entire organization on it.
Ross, you know what's crazy is AMD. If anybody follows stocks, I'll make this story quick before we go into closing notes. AMD had their earnings today, and they were expected to only make $2 billion off of AI this past quarter, and they made $6 billion, if I remember correctly. And Lisa Su had an awesome interview today. If you guys YouTube it, go find it. She's an awesome person, super smart, and creates some awesome GPUs. But that's besides the point. The point is that the amount that AI is being incorporated into businesses right now is unprecedented. Like it's literally like we could be at the mass adoption phase already heading into it currently. We just don't even realize it until after it's done. So what Ross and Dave are pointing out here, and what the next season is about to be, guys, and what these past seasons have been about too, is changing your life and just staying ahead of the curve and making sure you can come out ahead and take advantage of these opportunities that are right in front of us.
Yeah, Cash Money Kev. I don't want to forget this, but do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
You're right. So I don't know if you upgraded, but like if you guys think it's not a phenomenon, not a thing, Apple's the last one to move. Look at what they're doing. And you know what the best part about what they did, Cash Money Kev? Apple Intelligence is hot garbage. Like it's bad. So they rushed because they were scared. And they should be scared because they waited way too long.
They did the same thing with VR, and Josh just let me know about this. I didn't even hear about this, and because they kept the news so low about it, they discontinued the Apple Vision Pro, and it was the fastest discontinued product in Apple's history. And I thought that was pretty crazy. They just had too high expectations. They expected everybody to have one in their household, but it's $3,500, to get one. So that's a car, used car. But anyways, Jen, I see your hands up.
Yeah, but there's a problem with it.
Oh,
there's not intangible value. Like the value that AI gives you is instant. That for me is the difference. If you build something that's good for somebody, you've reduced the friction point for them. It's not like documents and lots of effort. And I think even Vision Pro, like there's lots of effort to get it set up. There's not enough support for it. Like AI, instead of selling AI, make shit better with AI and then sell better shit instead of selling
Exactly.
AI.
That's why, because of what they just said, you guys have a chance. Because people are going to use Apple Intelligence and be woefully disappointed. So you could be a service that can actually help them. And trust me, they're looking. People are paying $500 a month on AI tools. You know how much they'd love to not pay $500 a month if you could help solve one of their problems? But yeah, we can go to closing notes. But these are really important things, guys. And you need to understand, like, when you're building, how all the parts work. Sharon, do you have a real hand or fake hand?
It's a real hand. So can I try this red panda on Hugging Face? I can't find it. Where can I find it?
Oh, has it already been removed? Hilarious.
I don't know. I can't find it.
Well, just wait. It's coming to Pixio right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's coming right now. We're doing it. Nick is on it, right, Nick? Red Panda?
Yeah.
He's on it. After steak, it's going to be Red Panda. And yeah, it's image generation, really quick TLDR. Pumps out 4K images potentially. I only got one back. I haven't tested. I got to test after dinner. It has a huge array of understanding, and those photos look real. And it's not Flux.
I can't wait to try it.
I'm
Oh.
sorry interrupting you, Kev. Just so you know, um, Twitter is not behaving. So I am unable to bring anybody else up. So forgive me ahead of time. It's all my fault, but we don't want to rug the space. So folks, that if you do have a question down in the purple bubble, definitely ask us. But whoever's in the speaker role is in the speaker role, at least on my part. So I see that Dave has his hand up. I don't know if you see that, Ross. So I'll tell you
I
guys,
do not.
testing and pushing every one of my buttons this evening. So to keep my patience and cool is very difficult, considering the technology makes me want to see how aerodynamic the various pieces of technology can be. Dave, go ahead, friend.
Yeah, I think I probably broke it with
I think you're right.
time
It
zone
is
difference as
definitely
well.
your
It's
fault.
like, what's Dave still doing? What I wanted to say is I wanted to just give an example of not selling AI but using AI. I'm building something at the moment for my Focus Modes course. It's a focus assessment tool, and basically people are going to fill in some questions to how they focus and their daily routines and stuff like that. And they're going to be emailed a document which is tailored to them. Say, here's how you typically focus. Here's some strategies, what you can do, how you can change this. And I'm using AI in the background, but I don't need to tell somebody, go to AI, set up an account, fill it in, grab this really big mega prompt. It's as close as I can get to with having a one-to-one with me. So I'm putting all of my knowledge inside the prompt without anybody having to even consider that it's AI. It's literally fill in a form. 10 minutes later, you get this document tailored to you with all of your specific, mindset and processes and how you work. And I think that's where the future of education and stuff like that's going to come. If you think about courses and stuff, instead of having 20 modules you have to go through, you're going to fill in a form for me, and I'm going to give you the 10 modules you need for your mindset. And somebody else will fit it in, and they'll get 10 different modules. I'll record 20 modules, but for you, I'm making it really, really convenient. That for me is a fundamental mindset shift in mass marketing and scaling and producing an education business without having to do one-on-ones with people. It benefits me, it scales me, it makes me more efficient and proficient, but it also benefits the end user who does not need stuff that's not basically you get to meet people where they are and give them what they need right now. Somebody can go back in a month's time, fill in the form again, and get a different course experience. This blows my mind what we can do.
Yeah.
I agree, Dave. And sorry, real quick, Russ. I just want to
No,
say,
you're good.
Dave, you got to definitely come through for next season, 100%.
Oh, he
Ross
will.
is
It's
gonna.
his playground. That's his language. He'll be there.
Oh, I mean, I want him cooking up in the
Can I
kitchen with us.
request can I request a start time change if I'm to come through?
You know, Dave. We could see what we could do. We could
Yeah,
see
we
what we
could
could
do
do.
like 5. That's fine instead of 7. That might help him out. I've
Yeah,
got.
I know we have
He's
other
not the
people that
only
are.
one, by the way, Cash Money Kev, that made that request to move it to like 4:05.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about. Maybe we'll do like a poll for the next season. We'll change up the times to fit as many the best time for everybody or for most. Before we go into the closing notes, I just wanted to say, don't forget to check out Kirk's Afterglow. He's still building out his app right now, and he was just DMing me, showing me some cool pictures of what he's been building. And man, Kirk, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I wish I had the wizard powers of coding leveled up that much. I'm getting there, thanks to Ross and the gang. But my God, dude, you are cooking right now with your application. I love to see that. Also, I just dropped the headphone. My God, don't forget, guys, to share what you've been creating too. Be sure to screenshot your sites, any changes you've been making, and share them down on the Purple Pill. Ross, me, Sarah, everybody here loves to see what you're working on and the changes you've been making. But for closing notes, Ross, did you want to go first?
Sure.
Or if anybody else wants to
It'll
go?
be like quick and easy. So you guys should all continue doing this. 1. And if you've been looking on the screen, anything interests you on the live stream? I'm going to choose one at random, or you guys can vote. So my closing notes, or you got to choose one. If you don't choose any and no one says anything, we just move on and no one gets nothing. So somebody has to muster up and say something. Which one of these do you want me to release so you guys can continue learning even beyond this season?
I go Miro.
Miro? Okay. Anyone votes not Miro?
I second that.
Okay,
I
so
second
Miro's winning.
Miro.
It's going to be
Miro
Miro.
is so powerful.
All right, so I'm gonna launch Miro inside Mighty Network. So if you want to head to Mighty Networks, you can get the source code of Miro. And I did actually update it a little bit from Code with Antonio. I made it like work because I had a few issues with the new Next.js. So if you want to get that, get it.
Miro's for you, Hallie. If you can hear it.
You can get it right after this call. I'll be posting it in there. And you guys did really good. I think it's crazy that you built an application that like uses AI, mimics Canva. You got to understand. I know it sounds crazy, and yes, it would take you probably like a month or two to really customize it and make it amazing. But here's the thing. Remember, like Canva was started from one lady, did not know how to code, went on Fiverr, hired 12 of them, and then designed Canva. You have a working version now. I would say you're like 70% better than when she started. She got to like $100 million. So where are you going to get to? We don't know. But if you put in work, you're going to get somewhere. If you put in no work, you're going to get nowhere. That's how it works. Very black and white. There's no gray area there. Work equals success. It'll happen, especially on the internet. People want cool things. Trust me. I get DMs all day about people wanting my app to be cooler and me to add more things, and we add them. But like that's the thing, people are wanting full solutions, like Dave described. Here's the thing, I know a lot about AI, right? But if I had to make something that was like specifically in a specific way, in a style, and Dave somehow figured that out, I will go to Dave's app and like buy credits and do my job there. Because maybe Pixio doesn't have that exact Laura, because maybe that Laura is private to Dave and he ain't sharing with no one, not even Donald Trump. So that means no one can get that Laura. No one will know what Dave used to train that Laura. No one will know anything. So if I wanted that style, I can't use Pixio because I don't have the Laura. He does. And so even me, right now, when I do things, I always prefer the easiest and quickest solution. Always. And if I can skip 5 steps, I'm doing that. And so it doesn't matter if it's like someone that's a developer or someone that knows nothing. You want to have a solution that works with both. So that is what I'll leave you with as you build out software and start your journey.
Love it, Ross.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Sarah, for stepping on your toes. I just, before going over to you, did anybody else have any closing notes for season 4? Sharon, Dave, or Alisher, if you wanted to, or Starboss, or Rutro?
I have one. There's lots of talk, and it's a great achievement building something. But like Ross said, if somebody else had something, like you just said, Kev, as well, you said, I wish I had that wizardry and the coding and the knowledge. Not everybody's going to be proficient at coding, but also the people that are proficient at coding may not be good at something that you're good at. Like all of this learning here, it's iteration, it's finding out if that's what you're passionate about, if that's what you're kind of like leaning towards and enjoy or are actually good at, and maybe you're good at something else. Probably we're going to have a lot of people who are really good at building stuff, but we're probably going to have a lot of people that are bad at selling stuff and marketing stuff. And if like the whole point of collaboration is new currency, that's the whole point of it. Don't just look at with that kind of jealousy of somebody else can do that and I can't build that. What can you bring to the table that they don't have? And all of a sudden there's a collaboration. I mean, me and Emma Brooks doing Scale with AI, that's a perfect example of it. She has attributes that I don't have, and we complement one another and we do different stuff that would be difficult and hard for me to do, that it's really really easy for her to do. So like, don't be a lone wolf. look for other people, not just people to learn from, but people to maybe plug the gaps that you need help with as well. That's how a business is built. It's like 15 years. I spent an absorbent amount of money on sales, marketing, psychology, copywriting, coding, all of that to be kind of rounded. If I was to do it again, I would not spend all of that money being rounded. I would find people that are complementary to my skill sets and upgrade a lot quicker.
Love it, Dave. I love it. I can't agree more. Collaboration is new currency, and I'll probably end up getting it tattooed on me thanks to Josh. Hopefully not. But Sharon or anybody else,